Welcome to a special edition of Just Man Talk. This is Teed Off, the Masters Edition. Welcome to Just Man Talk, bringing you the world from a man's perspective. Here are your hosts, Rick Brinkley and Al Weathers. It's day 3 at the Masters. And today on Teed Off, we're going to go through the leaderboard. We're going to talk to Yin Wan, the 14-year-old phenom from China. The Aussie invasion. The leaderboard is crowded with the Aussies. Angel Cabrera going for his second green jacket, with his son on the bag this time. And Tiger Woods almost disqualified. That's right. These topics and more as we continue on Teed Off, the Masters Edition. Good afternoon, I'm Rick Brinkley, and thank you for joining me on this special episode of Just Man Talk, Teed Off, the Masters Edition. We'll go through the leaderboard today, talk about day 3 on the Masters and who fared well and who didn't. Starting off at the top of the leaderboard, we find 43-year-old Angel Cabrera, the old man, still getting it done. He had won his first green jacket in 2009. And he's back on top of the leaderboard at -7. Brandt Snedeker is tied with him there, 7 under. Adam Scott coming in at 6 under. Jason Day, who finished second, I believe, in 2011, is at 5 under, tied with Mark Leishman. That's your 3 Aussies. Matt Kuchar, an American, at 4 under. Tim Clark and Tiger Woods tied at 3 under. We'll talk a little bit about Tiger and how he ended up where he did on the leaderboard today and how he almost got thrown out of the tournament. Ricky Fowler and Jim Furyk round out your top 10 at 2 under. Then, of course, tying that with them, Bernard Longer, Steve Stricker, and Lee Westwood. So a lot of familiar names at the top of the leaderboard. Of course, one of the biggest stories, the 3 Aussies making a nice showing today. 3 out of the top 5 are Aussies, so they're representing Down Under very well. Angel Cabrera, the 43-year-old, got his son on the bag, so that gives him a little special incentive to win this one with his son carrying the bag and caddying for him. That would be a nice story. I'm sure he would, hold this one a little more dear to his heart if he was able to pull this one out. So we'll see how he does. Of course, he's a veteran. He's been there, done that, and having already had a green jacket put on him, this is just something that's not going to be new. He's not going to be fazed by, leading the Masters at this point. And I think, catching him, you're really going to have to, he's going to have to make a mistake, or you're really going to have to play out of your socks in order to catch him. We've already seen Jason Day take a very uncharacteristic bogey on 18 with basically a very makeable 2.5 or 3 footer that looped around the outside of the cup there. Very, very disappointed, I'm sure, after having held the lead for a part of the day today, to fall back to 5 under. And then, of course, Tiger Woods, that's a whole nother story. Almost disqualified today. Well, not really, but it could have been. It was a matter of timing. He definitely left himself open for it. So we'll get into that as well. But let's talk about Yin Wan, the 14-year-old phenom, who was the amateur that stunned the world by making the cut at the Masters at age 14. A phenomenal story. And his parents have done a great job at trying to keep everything normal for him as far as his daily routine and during the Masters here to keep him grounded, which I believe has played a big part in why he's been successful up to this point. Now, he didn't fare as well today. He's currently sitting at +9 in 59th place. He had a round of 77 today after a 73 and a 75 on day 1 and 2. But a 14-year-old with the pin placements they were putting out there today. It's a stellar job. He has everything to be proud of in his showing today. So nice job for him. He has definitely represented his family well. And talking about that, now he's been here since mid-March. His parents apparently have a friend that they're staying with in a house close to the course, although he has spent a couple of nights in the loft or the amateur accommodations, as it were, at the Masters in the Augusta National Clubhouse. They call it the Crow's Nest. It's the living space on the third floor of the clubhouse where amateur invitees traditionally stay. This kid's had quite a run here. He's went out with Tiger on a practice round. Played 9 holes with him. He's played with Ben Crenshaw for 9 rounds. Now he's out there playing the Masters, made the cut. Pretty awesome. He, like I said, he's been grounded. His parents have really done a really good job. All the way up until the beginning of the actual tournament itself, he was still doing an hour's worth of homework every night and communicating, sending emails back and forth to his teachers to make sure that he was continuing his studies, keeping up with his homework. And during the actual Masters tournament, now he's not required to do homework. He spends his quiet evenings eating dinner and watching TV. And he says, I look at the Masters and also some basketball. So, of course, he's been enjoying his mother's home cooking, so that's helped to keep him. And there was actually a rumor got started. A story went around that his mother had packed him a lunch for the tournament, which included a juice box, and which is not that I would have turned my nose up to a juice box from time to time. So it just made it that more remarkable that a junior high schooler at age 14 makes the cut at the Masters and is playing as well as he is. He definitely has gotten himself a great base system there to keep him grounded and keep him his head in the game, as it were, and to keep from not being affected so much by what's going around him. Now, he did take a one stroke penalty for slow play, but again, who could say anything bad about what this young man has done in his first Masters tournament at age 14? And I'm sure it won't be his last. He's still got a long, bright future ahead of him in golf. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Aussie invasion. We'll get into some Angel Cabrera. We'll talk a little more about the leaderboard and some of the players that have done well and disappointed. And then we'll talk a little more about Tiger Woods almost being disqualified from the Masters. You're listening to Just Man Talk. Visit us at www.justmantalk.com. Follow us on Twitter at JustManTalk. Send emails to feedback at justmantalk.com. And now, on with the show. Are you man enough? All right, thank you for coming back and joining us again. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the top of the leaderboard. We've got Brent Snedeker and Angel Cabrera, both at 7 under. Snedeker has actually been on fire the last 3 weeks. He was runner-up to Tiger Woods, runner-up to Phil Mickelson, and then won at Pebble Beach. He's absolutely just having the best golf of his life right now this last month here. So he's been poised for this he's actually been building the perfect momentum that you need to build going into the Masters. Not only are you playing well, but you're building your confidence against the very players that you more than likely will see at the end of the tournament near the top of the leaderboard. So kudos to him for taking advantage of it. Again, he had a bogey-free round of 3 under 69. Phenomenal. He opened with 12 pars. I mean, We're talking the Masters on day 3 at Augusta to have 12 straight pars, and then he birdied both par fives, stuffed his tee shot to 4 feet for birdie on the par 3, 16th to take the lead, and then Cabrera joined him at 7 under with a 12-foot birdie putt on the final hole, capping around, which he twice made bogey on a par 5. So awesome job for Snedeker to come out of nowhere, and really do a great job of taking advantage of the momentum that he's gained over the last 30 days. Again, pouring it on at the right time in the Masters, in the big spot. Now you're going to have a situation where you're at the top of the leaderboard and you're in the final group there with Angel Cabrera, who's going to go through this day yeoman-like. Of course, he does wear his emotions on his sleeve, so if he's playing well, you'll know it, and if he's not playing well, you'll know it. He'll have his son on the bag to help hopefully steady him and give him a nice incentive to do well. Again, trying to capture a second green jacket would be awesome to do with his son there on the bag. Make it just that much more special. So Snedeker's going to be dealing with that. But then you got to understand, Tiger Woods is only 4 strokes back. And I say only because as long as Tiger's within striking distance, you never know what can happen. And now Tiger's been a little fired up here. So this is what happened. At one point, he had dropped a ball in the water, so he had to take a drop, re-hit, which he did. And at the time, the rules official said everything was fine. Apparently, everything, there was actually a ruling made. Let's get the statement right here. Here's a statement from the tournament headquarters. Yesterday afternoon, the Rules Committee was made aware of a possible rules violation that involved a drop by Tiger Woods at the 15th hole. In preparation for his 5th shot, the player dropped his ball in close proximity to where he had played his 3rd shot in apparent conformance with Rule 26. After being prompted by a television viewer, the Rules Committee reviewed the video of the shot while he was playing the 18th hole. At that moment, and based on that evidence, the committee determined he had complied with the rules. So at this point, they actually made a ruling as to whether or not he dropped his ball in accordance with the rules at the time, Rule 26, and a ruling was made that he was within the guidelines. He had followed all the rules. After Woods signs his scorecard after the end of the round, and in a television interview subsequent to the round, Woods stated that he played further from the point than where he had played his 3rd shot. Now, such action would constitute playing from the wrong place. So the subsequent information provided by the player's interview after he had completed play warranted further review and discussion with him this morning. After meeting with the player, Tiger Woods, it was determined that he had violated Rule 26, and he was assessed a 2-stroke penalty. So Tiger finishes yesterday. He goes to bed at 3 under. He wakes up in the morning, and now he's only at 1 under. So the penalty of disqualification was waived by the committee under Rule 33, as the committee had previously reviewed the information and made its initial determination prior to finishing. So in other words, they missed the call the day before, so they can't hold Tiger accountable for it the next day. The rule is if you sign your scorecard with the wrong score, you're disqualified. No ifs, ands, or buts. However, at the time and under the rules and all the rulings that were in place at that time, he signed the card. That was his correct score. It wasn't until the next day when they assessed the 2-point penalty or the 2-stroke penalty that Tiger Woods at that point, his scorecard was inaccurate. But they can't hold him liable for an after-the-fact signing. So he takes this 2-stroke penalty, and Tiger again is exhibiting his iron will, and shoots a nice 2 under today to come in at 3 under and set himself up. He's got 4 strokes off the lead now. You have to wonder, what kind of difference it would have made in his play today had that not happened. Okay, let's say he still shoots a 2 under. So now he's in the second group behind the leaders instead of the third group behind the leaders. And for anyone who's either played in front or behind of Tiger's group on Sunday, when that crowd that follows him around is tenfold to any other player out there on the course, and especially when he's in contention. And when he hits his balls and he gets a nice shot close to the stick, or he smashes a long drive, the roar of the crowd sometimes can unnerve those who haven't been in this situation before, a la Snedeker. I don't think so much Angel Cabrera is going to be affected by it. Like I said, he's a Wiley veteran. He's been there, done that. He's got a green jacket. It's not going to make that much difference to him. But somebody like Brandt Snedeker might be unnerved by having Tiger's crowd breathing behind, down his neck, behind his back, the whole way up to back 9 there, especially if Tiger can close the gap. Which, you would think that with all things nominal and a fresh start tomorrow, he's been playing well. He's actually been putting very well. A couple of misreads. If he could keep his driver in the fairway and keep out of the long stuff, Tiger, his short game is on. He's been scrambling his butt off. He's hitting great out of the sand, but the problem is he's in the sand. That's the problem. He's got to hit him down the middle. Maybe he just wants to take 3-wood here and just start, just get himself out in the middle of the fairway and give himself a chance to come into some of these greens with a long to mid iron instead of, having to wrap one around a tree in order to get there. So should be a very exciting Sunday finish to the Masters. We'll definitely be checking it in. When we come back, we'll do a little wrap up here, a little prediction, and we'll see how we figure it. The ending to the Masters on Sunday. Is Tiger gonna finish it out and get his first major in several years, or is it just too much of a gap? That 2-stroke penalty, did it take him out of it? We'll be right back. You're listening to Just Man Talk, where we try to bring you the world from a man's perspective. Visit us at www.justmantalk.com. Follow us on Twitter at JustManTalk. Send emails to feedback@justmantalk.com. And now, on with the show. All right, the conclusion of day 3 at the Masters. Seen a lot of movement, a lot of action. Of course, we've had a lot of people falling from grace. The 14-year-old Tingling Wang ended up at a +9 for the day. He'll teeing off tomorrow at 9:30. The next to last group with Sandy Lyle from Scotland. Phil Mickelson, not a very good showing this year. He'll be teeing off at 9:40. We've got McIlroy, another disappointment. Rory McIlroy will be teeing off at 10:30 with group number 8. Vijay Singh teeing off at 11 o'clock. Got Olazabal teeing off at 11:30. Stuart Sink 11:40. Of course, the premier groups here. The final group will tee off at 2:40. Angel Cabrera and Brandt Snedeker. Tim Clark and Tiger Woods will be teeing off at 2:10. And in between them, you'll have Jason Day, Matt Kuchar teeing off at 2:20. And at 2:30, Adam Scott and Mr. Leishman from Australia. So Australian pairing there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Tiger reacts after the disappointing start to today. I mean, it's got to be mentally challenging to wake up and lose 2 strokes after the initial ruling basically said you did nothing wrong. So it'll be interesting to see, and it'll be, if he does start to make a surge there in the front 9, when he turns that corner, how does it affect the rest of the groups in front and behind him? Tiger's always been able to, stare people down from behind. I mean, it's, you know, almost impossible to catch him from behind. He hasn't had so much of a great record being the one that's doing the stalking on Sundays, but we'll see. Maybe this is his chance to come around now and take advantage of Brent Snedeker and his lack of experience, or maybe Angel Cabrera, the fatigue sets in. 43 years old. He's not, you know, old by any stretch of the imagination, but you never know what can happen on Sunday at the Masters. But we'll be glued to the TV, and I will see you next time on Teed Off, the Masters edition.